Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission. Today, I have my super special friend, colleague, accomplice in some of the conferences, and I could go on and on. Sherri Divband, welcome, Sherri. So happy to have you again on the show.
Yes, thanks for having me. It's nice to see you again, and we got to hang out in person for a while, and that was such a treat. So I wish I could see you again.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to bring up. That we had the opportunity to share stage there at the Star Knowledge Conference, a beautiful, beautiful conference put together by Nikki. In with all these chiefs from the Native American tribes, such a big presence, such an amount of love, being expanded in the field. For me, was I had never experienced an event like that, because definitely, I don't know if you feel the same way, yet the codes that the Native Americans bring into the field are so holy, like as for wholeness and even for holiness, because it's pure transmission and you can feel all the ancestral information coming through them, and that heart expansion, that simplicity, yet a very powerful simplicity. It's I mean, I think that even words get a little bit short of how beautiful it was for me. So, and I think that's very much connected to, and to some extent, what we will be talking about today. I chose the title, The Golden Spark, Starseeds and Children of Light. Homo HeKA. I will go into that in a bit, but just, like that golden spark, because from your experience, and this is one of the things that I love, and which I always say, everything that you're doing, what an amazing job, creating this educative center, this learning center, Aramis and Foundation. And I think that keeping simplicity and the strength in the message, it's not that it's a little bit complex in a way that it sounds really simple, yet it requires a lot. Can you share with us a little bit about that journey? How has it been for you, keeping the foundations of what Aramis wants to convey, and to bring?
Yes, thank you. Actually, it's interesting because I can start with your comment about the Star Knowledge Conference, because I want to give a shout out to Nikki and the hard work she does to continue that tradition. Yes. And for me, that was a really life-changing experience. I've done a lot of conferences. Every conference has its own vibe. But that one was really special because I felt the indigenous elders there with us, and I would go out on walks at night. Behind my hotel was this beautiful meadow, and I love alone time. And I would just walk and just feel the energy. And I just kept feeling this like remembrance and this message of, we are we are the ancestors that are returning too. We always talk about our ancestors, but we are also the ancestors coming back again. And that's why when we unify in these beautiful spaces like the Star Knowledge Conference, that week was magical because I felt a part of me activate that maybe was dormant, maybe I wasn't aware of, not exactly sure. I haven't had time to process it just yet, but it was so beautiful that there are moments where I just wanted to cry, and I don't know why necessarily. Like, it wasn't sad, it was just so beautiful. And I haven't experienced that in any conference. Like that was the first time that's ever happened to me. And why that's relevant to your question is because what I am creating with Aramis, or I like to say co-creating, because it's not me, it's on behalf of the children all over the world and the souls that have come to me over the last 6 years. It's very simplistic, like you said, yet very complicated in the 3D world to identify what it is that we need and how to navigate the challenges of that. And so, it's like our ancestors in that example, at the Star Knowledge Conference, like, we are the knowledge holders. We are the keepers of the sacred knowledge coming back. We are the adults here to stand up for these children and stand up and close these cycles of trauma. So anyways, that, I don't know if that answered your question, but I just felt the need to, like, I had to say that because it really moved me. Still, I don't even know exactly what happened to me there, but it was it was so beautiful.
I know, I really try to summarize it, yet this is why I said, beyond words, because just even the fact that in my case, I arrived to the airport at 11 p.m. And after that, like something that I'm still trying to figure out, but it's not about understanding. It's
Mm-hmm.
just about grounding, the amount of gold that was shared with us through presence. And this is, where I very much connect the simplicity. It's presence. Because when one is already in that embodiment state, then that's how, for me, it becomes simple. It's complex somehow to receive the waves of, all that information and all that embodiment of the codes, of the light codes, of the wisdom, of the knowledge, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yet it comes in a way, in such a simple way, because it's through presence. They are not trying to impress anyone. They are not trying to, you know trying to prove themselves. They have already gained that embodiment, and that level of grounding just echoes in the hearts of everyone. Every time when you were saying, like, feeling the like crying, it
Yes.
was due to that amount of love. When I was with the elders, it was, by the way, thank you, Nikki, if you watch this, for these beautiful earrings.
Oh,
Yeah, I just, yeah, it's, and, and, the, this origin, as you very well put together in these words, that we are the ancestors. I believe that these codes are so important to be nourished and continue to be planted and seeding them, because every part of how they see reality, even through these earrings, it has a very specific purpose, like the cone that they use, how they put together the beads, the colors, everything for them is sacred. And for me, and I would love for you to ask you this, or you to comment on this, because for me, sacredness, honoring what we do, is something that has been lost a lot due
mhm.
to the time bandwidth that we have. Like, we can be just running, back to back, one thing to the other. And sometimes that sacredness is like just, There is so much to do. Yet the kids, the children, remind us that at every moment in many ways. And when I was coming to the to like what the title could be the best, what title could be the best, I was thinking, okay, so what is that correlation between children of the light, like many ancient civilizations would call like Ahenaten, that even he built a city that it was the city of the children. So how is that dynamic with the children, that we are capable to see that that's ourselves as well, not only the ancient ones,
Right.
also the children, we are them,
Right.
so yeah, how do you?
Well, I think that the children are here to remind us of that. And I think but what is giving you and I the emotional visceral reaction that we're both speaking of that has no words is the sacred nature of their ceremony, because part of the 3D design is to take that ceremony away and replace it with programming. So our ceremony, if you think about it from a 3D perspective, is 9 to 5 job, or the children, 9 to 3 school. Then they have the sports, and then they come home and they have hours of homework, and then they eat dinner, and then maybe veg in front of the TV, and they go to sleep. And adults, they go to work, they take their kids to sports, or maybe they go to the gym, and then they come home and they watch Netflix, or maybe they walk the dog. And it's this repetitive Groundhog's Day reality of, really, that's not sacred. It's just repetition. It just keeps you in a loop, in a cycle, so that we don't remember, we don't activate the creative side of spontaneity and just going with the flow and not knowing what we're going to do next. And anyone out there that has children or grandchildren, and you know this, and I know this just as well, trying to make a child follow a schedule is almost next to impossible when they're young, because they don't understand what's this routine about. They want to be spontaneous, and they want to be free, and they remind us to have fun and to have joy in our life. It's only the small demographic of the star children that have to have routine, because they're so galactic that they need the routine and structure to ground them. But that's a whole other explanation. But majority of us, the children are trying to remind us to break out of the programming and bring back the ceremony. So when the indigenous elders in the Star Knowledge Conference, for example, they were drumming and they were singing and they had their ceremonies, and it was so sacred. And I was trying so much to honor, even when I didn't know what I was doing and if I looked foolish or not. And I didn't know the words to the songs, but I was still humming along, and I was dancing and being free and just honoring, right? Like I want to be, I'm a visitor, so I'm going to honor your tradition regardless of if I'm doing it right or not. I'm trying my best. I think that we've lost that as a society, as humanity has lost that the true traditions of our ancestry. And I think that the children are bringing that back. And that's what I'm trying to recreate. And I think that's why I needed to go to that conference, to remind myself, partly to activate that part of me, to remind me, hey, make sure you include this in the future education of children, of the importance and significance of ceremony and honoring nature, honoring animals, honoring yourselves, honoring your parents, honoring each other. And instead of this egocentric, competitive-based reality that we live in, of everyone has to compete against each other and one-up each other, and who has better grades, and there's so much competition, go back to the basics of just, simplicity. And that's what the indigenous are trying to remind us. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, well, this is so interesting, because there is, like, we talk about structure, structure for grounding, as you said. And then when we talk about this type of simplicity, it just flows through the rhythm of the heart. So it shows you things happen when they are ready, not
Yes.
when you say so. And then flowing in that speed, for some people that come from the, that very capitalist form of approach, which is not bad, not good, it just is, because there is a reality that we're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where, okay, no, but we have deadlines. If we want to manifest that, we need to imprint, and on the other hand, it's like things will happen. Yes, we have a deadline, yet the way that we create it is allowing the cosmic time show us what the cosmic order is, not what we think. And I feel that has been so critical in the last years, even more after 2020, that we came from a wave that, okay, the things are going to be like this and this and this and this, and things are going to happen like that and that. And after 2020, some things do happen like that, yet most of the things keep surprising us.
Yes.
So it's reactivating, restoring that capability of being surprised. And I think that is critical in a way that we play with our nature when we remember how important it is to play. Like when we were in the conference and we were dancing, doing the dance of the
Mm-hmm.
serpent, it was like being kids again, and
Yeah.
yet so and along, and therefore so sacred, because it's not just about doing without knowing how deep impact is going to have in our reality. Is playing and knowing that whatever we were doing was anchoring what would later on be a huge impact in our reality. And I think that's one of the biggest treasures that the native share with us. Like, for instance, let's go a little bit about into the galactic communication that they have. If if we ask ourselves, like, how all these communities, how all these tribes have lost their power throughout the years in front of a reality that is going so fast, and they are going in at another speed. Why, if they are so advanced in knowledge, advanced even in technology, like the elder, the beautiful grandmother that was sharing with us those codes, those light codes that everyone was trying to get a medal of them. So based on that, what do you think that is the key to actually don't allow the what is happening right now, the reality, keep on consuming
Mm-hmm.
its tribes?
Well, I mean, I think that's the big question is how do we stop feeding the matrix? Because we know that whatever you want to call it, the matrix, the grid, the third dimension, it's collapsing and breaking down all around us. And the more attention that we give to it, the more we feed it, and essentially help repair it and restore it based on our fears, our projections, and how we co-create and all of that. And so when we honor our ancestors and which is ourselves as well, and we go back to the beauty and go back to the basics, and my number one recommendation is to surrender, because like you said, we all have this idea of timing, but it has to be divine timing. It has to be the right timing. So we have to surrender to what is the divine timing. What is our expectations sometimes are very specific, like especially someone like me. Like I design in my mind what I think the Aramis education centers will look like, right? And it's very detailed, and I can smell it, I can sense it, I can feel it, I can see every detail of it. I can see the murals on the wall and the children laughing and all of this. But sometimes I have to say, you know what? Sometimes I got to surrender to the details and be a little bit less specific about the timing or the location so that the universe can work its magic, and it could be even better than I even imagining. So sometimes we have to leave room and space for it could be this or it could be even better. And right now, I think it's so important for us to co-create and magnetize a better world for ourselves and our children by focusing on what is best for ourselves, what is best for our children. If we don't know exactly what that looks like, we just say what is in the highest and best interest of all parties involved that are of the light, that are ascending along with us, and just simply surrender to the process. Because I think it's human nature to our logical primal aspect of our brain, which is important, but that logical mindset sometimes gets us into trouble, because then we think too much, we overthink everything. It can't be that simple, and we complicate it,
Yeah.
and then we obsess about it, and then we talk about it, and we don't realize that all these negative thoughts that we're having of, oh, it's too expensive, it's going to take too long, I need this, like, I don't have time, all these things that we say in our mind, we don't realize is self-sabotaging, and that's what's feeding into the machine. And so we have to take back control, and that's exactly what the innocence of the children are trying to teach us. Let all that go, just go out into the field and have fun, and just play, and just surrender, and allow your imagination to unfold as it does naturally, without trying to control it, so we can create the experience that is best for all. And I think that's it's hard to do that sometimes, because there's so much chaos around us.
Yeah, now that you were saying this, it's like, I think that the stage that we are facing as a collective, at some point, it was a very disruptive teenagehood, like having all the collective just complaining and wanting fight, and like trying to defend their space, and I won't let you control my life, talking to the government, talking to the religion, which was pretty much necessary. And I think that we now as a collective, we're facing that stage of assuming the responsibility, instead of just putting it outside, is going in within and saying, okay, so what can I do to make this better? And this leads to what you were saying, like, instead of being fixated with a role, it's allowing myself to be versatile and just play in different roles, because I think we are just going through that pathway that leads us to unified consciousness. I don't know if you have experienced it, Sherri, or you guys who are beautiful tribe joining us. I have seen, not only in my field, yet in my surroundings, that people has been asked to play different roles, perhaps to what they thought they were going to do. A lot of shifts. Okay, now what I was doing this, now I'm doing that. Everything connected, everything very much connected, yet allowing themselves to go beyond that state of comfortability and just find their own magic and their own power that is infinite. It's like, hey, you are not meant to be just this. Explore all of these branches that are very much connected to what you do now, and see, how they are going to bring you to that place. Yet you need to explore this to become that super powerful, unified consciousness being, So, and when you were talking about that surrender, I very much often relate that surrendering to vulnerability, that capability to be just in full trust that everything is super orchestrated, and that it was you, yourself, another version of yourself, along with source, that orchestrated this, or orchestrated it this way. So it's like that level of alignment.
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so I don't know, like, the way that, even if we see the galactics, because I know that you also go a lot through this, like the connection that you have, what you have seen, how they interact with the kids and so forth, is even the galactics, like, for instance, let's bring a race, let's say, um the Nordics, you know something that I see in them is that even their physiognomy their face features are very similar. And I think that we are heading there in a way that when we talk about that, we will be unifying our field, and that once we unified our field, it's not that we're going to be physically identical. It's more about the frequency that we emit will be in so much harmony and
Mhm.
resonance that we will all be unified through the same purpose. And I would love to ask you, because we were talking about last time about the centered heart and how kids are being born with the heart
Yeah.
center now. I've been tapping into that we will be enlightening our body, like literally,
Hmm.
coming light. Have you seen any type of behavior or reading through the genetics of the kids, of the children, that they are already coming with this different imprint of being, you know, radiating a higher level of luminescence?
Yeah, every day. And unfortunately, that's where the labels come in. And that's why so many children are labeled with autism, because autism is a label created by the third dimensional construct in order to uh, identify the newness of the star seeds coming in, because they are so different. And what I mean by different is they are higher density consciousness beings of light volunteering to descend into a lower dimensional field that's struggling, that was once on a path of destruction and transhumanism, to come in and be part of the change. And again, that includes us as well. So this, we could be on multi-generational time projects, meaning, this might be my third or fourth time in this timeline generationally to get to the point where I am right now doing what I'm doing, but I've already laid the groundwork in other lifetimes of other versions of myself. So it can get quite complicated. But what I'm seeing is that the children right now that are coming in, because we've laid the groundwork, every generation, at least in the last, I would say, 100 years, um, has shifted the genetics a little bit so that the next group coming through can bring a little bit more light, a little bit more codes, a little bit more activation, because it takes time. Otherwise, these bodies would not be able to hold the frequency. That's why we have so many miscarriages. That's why we have so many children with disabilities or Down syndrome, things like that, because those children have such a high density of consciousness. Their frequency is not a match, and it doesn't integrate with the 3D body. So it's taking a long time for the integration process to occur. So fast forward to where we are right now, in 2026, we have these waves of children that have been coming in for the last 26 years, just even starting in the year 2000, where their light, their luminescence, their auric field, their torus field is 3-4 times the size of us when we were their age. And they're coming in with their dormant DNA already activated, remembering who they are, heart-centered, open, brain, heart coherence activated, knowing their mission, looking at their parents in their eyes and saying, I remember our past lives together. I remember, I know you. I know where we come from. And it's magnificent to see the transition taking place of the advanced capabilities of the children of today versus the children, or even from when I was a child and when my parents were children, and the previous generations were so locked in a box. And so these labeled children of today, right now, are being labeled because the system doesn't know what to do with them. They have to figure out, how do I suppress this? How do I stop this expansion and activation from occurring, because it's activating their parents, It's activating their teachers. It's activating their neighbors, and humanity in general is being affected positively by this imprint, these codes coming in that they're bringing forward, and it's shifting the entire system. And it's spectacular. So yes, I'm seeing it every day. These children they tell me, Sherri, the colors here are not right. The food doesn't taste right. The sounds are wrong. The trees look different. The smell of the sun is not right. Like, they can smell the sun. They can smell things that we can't smell. Their senses are so heightened and activated, where ours are not, that they are recognizing and aware that this dimension for us has become normal throughout generations. We've kind of normalized it. We've gotten used to it. So to us, the colors look everything. What do you mean? The colors look fine. And they're like, no, it's dull. You don't see it. So to them, they're looking through a lens of a 3D body of like a 1950s TV. And we're looking at it as like, okay, it's just normal. But they're like, no, this is not right. How come you guys don't notice that the colors are wrong, the smells are wrong, the spectrum of everything is inverted, and they know it. But the problem is that a lot of them are afraid to say it because they don't want to be weirdos in school. They don't want to get bullied. They don't want their parents to call them crazy. So they keep it to themselves, and that's a shame. But when they talk to me, they'll tell me everything.
Well, thank you so much for being someone who is there for the kids, for the offering that space of safety, because safety is critical. In order for you to express yourself, it's important that you feel safe, because that's, whether you want it or not, it goes connected to the survival instinct. Otherwise you feel threatened, that your life, your integrity could be in danger. And I do feel that even the way that, like, I loved everything that you shared. Thank you so much, because it's so important and so interesting, everything that you shared. And if we now say about all these programs, by the government, created by the government, how they have taken kids and that have already, or that had already, the capabilities very much awakened, and then they use it for different purposes. What everything flows and happens in the perfect way. What I'm just saying here is that we are now saying to the government, thank you for showing us that we need to take care of those abilities. Yes. And expand them. And we will be doing it in a different way, for different purposes. Because then you get the ownership of your own vessel, of your own gifts, of your own abilities. And if we see, I think this is like weakening so rapidly, like the fact that these beautiful beings haven't felt safe. I think that's already, like part of the past. I feel how, like they are more and more and more comfortable, and they feel more free to actually express themselves, because we went through that, Sherri. We have talked about that. What type of reality was it, just to try to fit somewhere, or don't even caring, what that led to. And I think that offering that to the kids so that they don't have to go through that, it's the least that we can do, actually. With the level of consciousness that we have, is the least that we can do, offering them a different reality so that they can be, because it's not like we need to do a lot. I'm pretty sure that you, with all these amazing programs that you have, and online courses and so forth, it's not that you need to teach them a lot. It's more about holding the space for them to be, right?
Exactly. Yeah, they already know so much. So give them the opportunity to show you what they're capable of, where right now they're not. They're, sit down, listen to what you're told, memorize this worksheet, take a test, memorize, take a test, memorize. There's no knowledge. There's no pursuit of knowledge. It's just indoctrination and memorization. There's no pursuit of passion. There's no imagination. There's nothing other than just a daycare for children to go so parents can work. And it's all about disconnecting the family unit. I've been saying this for years. I've been on stages all over the country saying, listen, part of the plan of the dark players, whatever you want to call them, has been for quite a while. I think this has been in the works since probably when children started going to school, and they started old age homes, whatever the appropriate way to say that, taking the elders out of the home, disconnecting the family unit was like step one. Let's dismantle the families, because the family unit is so important. Like I was talking on stage at the Star Knowledge Conference, talking about how beautiful it is. Look at these elders that are here, the grandmothers working with their granddaughters and the grandsons, and even great granddaughters and great grandsons, and they're all together. And the wisdom that you acquire over your life, we're meant to share that with the next generation, not our children. Because the problem is right now in this design, parents, and I'll speak for myself, I'm so busy, I'm doing so much work, just like you, and we don't have the time, the patience, the bandwidth that much to teach the children the wisdom as we go, as much as we should be able to, because that whole time matrix, and everyone's so busy. But the people who have the time are the retired grandparents who have the time to sit, and they have the patience to teach their grandchildren what they learned, and the parent and their children, us, are still learning it. So we haven't quite got there yet, and we're missing that step. So they want to dismantle all the family and spread us all out, so that the elderly are in old age homes, and they're getting dementia and Alzheimer's on purpose due to nefarious reasons. And the parents are working both two income households now, because people can barely afford to pay their bills with one income. So now both parents have to work. And then guess what? The children are left at home learning from each other, which is not the best idea, like two teens trying to teach each other something. Like it's comical. Not saying they don't know much, but you get into trouble. And then what are they left with? TikTok, YouTube, Instagram is teaching them, and we don't know what they're learning and what the intentions are behind it. And so the structure of the unit has just collapsed. We got to get back to bringing everyone together, unifying children, families, bringing that back to our reality. And I think that's paramount moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I feel that there is like a coming back of the natives as we
Yes.
like going to where we began. I think that there is a huge stream of reactivating their codes, their wisdom, their knowledge, because I can see that they are also now open to share it even with people that don't forcibly were born in tribes, like the Hopi.
Mm-hmm.
Now they are open to share the knowledge, which was also critical, because I feel that they are seeing more interest, not to say, of course, not everyone, but just, like overall, they are seeing a lot of interest from the people that were not brought up as part of the tribe, and trying to keep those codes alive. This is one of the things that we're doing through the Way of Being Foundation. It's like keeping those codes alive. And yeah, at some point we will be also sharing some exciting news regarding to some projects that we have going on.
Lovely.
Also with Nikki. Yes, yes, I will. I will share everything at the right moment. Speaking of which,
Yeah.
so the thing is that we see now that there are artifacts are emerging from the surface, like ancient alien artifacts or just artifacts like these advanced technologies. Who were the holders? Who are the holders? Precisely in the reservations, there are a lot of that going on because the galactics handed them to these beautiful tribes and
Hmm.
passed on the knowledge of how to use it, how, like, when to use it. And at some point, I feel that the reality was so discouraging, and of course, so bombarding like the government bombarding them, like it has happened to all of us. You were mentioning TikTok, you were mentioning like all this programming that is inherently taking place just by seeing the reality. Even a commercial of McDonald's or Coca-Cola, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
So the more that we keep that nucleus together, it reminded me of two things when you were saying this. When I was in Egypt, living there for 4 years, one of the things that I went through is that I went to the desert and I went to this huge portal. And when I came back, I was completely or mostly different in a way that I had to go through a the period of 15 days barely moving my physical body. And when I started to move it, I was not feeling hungry. I was not feeling like sleeping. And interestingly, the part that was, like jumping as this survival instinct was the awareness of, wow, all of these belief systems and that are very much connected or indoctrinated through the family. If you want to share with the family, you need to sit and eat together. Yes,
Hmm.
it's sacred, but we can also sit together and just chat. Why the routine needs to be so anchored in a very specific way,
Yeah.
and then you have like a lot of discouraged kids, like, we're going to eat again in the same way, the same food, the same talk, so it's just about allowing ourselves to be free. Like that is a question. Like, how afraid are you to be free, truly free? What do you think could happen? And then it reminded me, another thing that it reminded me now of is like, well, just to finish with the story. So then I realized that all of those are just beliefs and that I can live without having to eat 3 times a day, without having to sleep specific hours. And when my body asks for that, then I give that to my body. But it's more of listening what my body is saying, listening what I truly want to do. For instance, me with my daughter, she doesn't want to eat. Okay. You want to eat? Okay. But
Yeah.
when you eat, you make it super sacred. You make it super aware, of what you're bringing into your body.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's about respecting that. So when I was, the other thing that I wanted to talk about is Ahenaten, which is related to that Homo HeKA. It's like another way of saying the Homo luminous, where I was saying that we are heading to.
Hmm.
Akhenaten was that king in Egypt that created the city of the children. And what he did is that he moved the whole empire, where was based in Luxor, where all the religious groups were, all the military forces and so forth. And he said, not here. So he decentralized all the structure at that time and went to another place. And then he started creating his own reality with the ones that were ready to do that. And I think
Wow.
that's pretty much that what we are doing with the community, like going off grid. And even just I remembered and then it confirmed that the word Ahen is Ak is the transfiguration into light, and Aten is plasma.
Mm.
So he was also showing that already, and the connection, the critical connection to the kids for this to be, you know. Um, I would love to listen what you feel about all these gods, like thoughts, that they would call the humans as my children. What do you think about it? Do you think that there is a code about that?
I mean, I think that there's so much. Well, first of all, I think there's so many versions of the story. I don't think anybody actually knows exactly what happened because there's so many timelines that I don't know if anyone is actually right about. Like in some timelines, he was bad, and other timelines he's good, and in some timelines Enki's the bad one, and then sometimes Enki's the good one, and Lil's the good one and the bad one, and it's like trying to keep track of all of these. Uh, this historical ancient figures is actually quite impossible. And so I kind of have given up on that. And what I think they mean by that is that we're all God's children. But that doesn't mean that they're necessarily God themselves. They're just realizing that they're embodying the essence of God, but so can we. And the children are in the purest form. So they are, in essence, God themselves, but so are we. And so I think, people hear me talk about children a lot, and I focus my attention a lot on children. But what people don't realize is for decades of my life, I have dedicated my time to helping adults because we can't have all of these activated, incredibly gifted, and talented children coming into this reality with a bunch of unhealed, unhinged, traumatized, fragmented adults, right? Is that my son? And hi, Skylar. And so we have to step up. We have to protect our children, right? So we need to play the role. And the role that we're playing is, like you said, going within, taking responsibility for the role that we are playing in this ascension, in this evolution, or this what's the word I'm thinking of? Transformation period. And we're all playing different roles. Some of them overlap, but it's about stepping up and being part of the change because the children can't create these schools on their own. And it's not just about creating schools. It's about us as adults standing up for our sovereignty, activating those primordial codes that you talk about. Who are the guardians of the ancient knowledge and the artifacts? Because I believe that people like you are guardians of these sacred artifacts. And that's why you find them. And that's why some of people react to these artifacts where others do not, because they're not connected to them. So in essence, everybody's playing their role, but we have to focus on the adults right now. Like the adults matter. We matter too. It's not just about the children. We can't just focus all of our attention on the children. Like we have to get ourselves to a space of healing and embodying the highest version of ourselves by going through the layers of finding who we are in the root and bringing in, embodying our powers, our innate abilities, unifying together. Like you and I, we met, we unified, we come together. I love seeing the unification of the community. It bothers me so much to see the fighting amongst the spiritual community. to me, I don't understand why that happens. Why is everybody fighting with each other? Where's the competition here? Where you and I are trying to unify the divine feminine. You have your gifts and abilities. I have my gifts and abilities. Some of our gifts and abilities overlap. You have some that I don't. I have some that you don't. Then we bring them together, and you amplify when you bring each other together. So right now, as a population of humanity, as adults, we need to figure out what our role is, what our superpower is, what our innate abilities are, while also healing the fragmentation of traumas and ancestral healing, breaking off the loop cycles so that we can actually be there for the children. Otherwise, what are we doing for the children if we are not healed ourselves? Is this making sense?
Absolutely.
Taking
Absolutely.
accountability.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When you were saying why is there that competition, what first comes to me, and even on org, is the importance of acknowledging who am I, because if you don't know who you are, then the process in which your ego goes through, like, where do I belong? Am I here standing in the right place, or do I need to stand in another place? Do I need to defend myself, my place, or and that is very much connected to the consciousness of separation. When you think that once you move here, you will never be again in that place. And that's all an illusion, because as you said, we're everywhere. We have that capability of being everywhere. And I feel again that this is why, one of the reasons why in this stage of human evolution, we're invited to play many roles so that we feel comfortable and not in the need of defending a place, because we're continuously evolving. That
Yes.
doesn't mean that I don't know who am I or what am I meant to do. No, that means that as much as I know who I am, I can be everywhere and play everyhow and be in my essence and presence, you know, because, like, of course, we went through a path of evolution in which we felt at some point that everything was trying to be taken away from us. So then we needed to defend. So then, even if you're in the path of awareness, some people are still in that loop. So when someone comes and says, hey, let's share, no, so this is why it's so critical, the shadow work
Yeah.
everywhere, everywhere. The fact that we are here today talking and sharing information, that doesn't mean that we are already in that stage of we've got everything right.
Definitely not. Yes.
So that level of humbleness, I think that, let's see, imagine a reality where I do something that I could have done better, and you, Sherry, come to me and tell me, hey, from a not judgmental place, hey, I saw this, do you think, in another way? And then I'm receptive instead of saying, what's your problem? Focus on yourself, or on the other way. Like, it could be approached in so many ways.
Hmm.
But for me, the key is self-certainty, knowing that the reality is not trying to attack me.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know
Well, you have to have self love, self dignity, self respect, in order to take constructive criticism. Otherwise, you feel like the world is attacking you, because the world, in essence, has been attacking each other, um, by deunifying and, um, division for so long. And so we have been so programmed through epigenetics, over generations, to not believe that we are deserving. And so we've lost this: I am good enough. I am strong enough. I deserve love. I am love. I am worthy. So if you have somebody that comes along with good intentions, with love, and says, Isha, maybe you could have said that in a way that wasn't so harsh, if you are in a space where you are in love with yourself and accepting, your heart is open to receiving without judgment. But
Exactly.
if you are not, you are in a space of defense mode and you're feeling attacked. And I think that's partly what's happening with the spiritual community, which I find very disheartening. Is that I think a lot, like you just mentioned, at least the two of us can sit here and admit I am working. I'm speaking for me right now. I am working to become a better version of myself every single day. I tell my children this. I am not perfect. I don't actually believe in perfection. We are continuously evolving, and we will continuously evolve after this life and for infinity, where we always are going to grow because we're always in pursuit of knowledge and experience, and we learn through mistakes sometimes. So sometimes we need to mess up. Sometimes we need to admit, oh man, I should have done a better job, or our children, I messed up. I overreacted, because they'll respect you more because they realize, oh, mom's human. They make mistakes, and so does everybody else. So if I make a mistake and someone says, hey, Sherri, I didn't really like what you said, and instead of me getting defensive, I say, gosh, I think you might be right. That shows spiritual growth and integrity. But right now in the spiritual community, I think it's filled with so much ego for some reason, and competition, that people want to be the first to share something that no one else has shared, so that they can take ownership over something specific, so they can grow their channel, grow in popularity. And to me, you're looking at this completely wrong. That's just a 3D construct of ego. And I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you get what I'm saying. It's where that's the wrong direction. We got to move towards helping each other, unifying, building each other up, and helping each other, and without judgment. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think that the deal here is what we were saying. Information is just information. Everyone can tap into a lot of information. Yet, when the information is not embodied, is not grounded, then these type of things happen, because you feel movable, you feel shakeable, that anytime, someone will come and take you out of your place of power. Yet when you're grounded, like the native ones are showing us, you're already embodying what you say. And for me, this is such a high responsibility. And for instance, I do it with my daughter all the time. Like, for instance, someone else comes with a different form of believing and tells me, "Hey, I teach my kids that this is the right thing to do." And for me, that's super important, telling them what is right. And then I say, okay, for me, the most important thing is coherence. Whatever I tell her, I do it. If I don't do it, I don't tell her. I can suggest, you know, even sometimes I say, hey, see, take me as an example. It's like, take me as an example. What do you choose to do? And I think that a lot of people would say that you are putting yourself at the same level as your kid, and then your kid will take you as a friend and won't see you as this figure of respect. In my case, that has not been what has happened. Like, the type of connection that I have with my daughter is actually so deep, so deep,
Yeah.
and of such high love and respect. So again, for me, we talk about losing masks. It was very interesting because our reality just show us that people were trying to put us masks, and it was like, no, I won't wear a mask. And for me, this was about a deeper concept. Is like, are we wearing masks of who we truly are? about what we need to do, about um, how am I showing myself in front of others? Is that who truly I am? Because then we are just bringing the same, coming from a type of society that we were practically running away from, to create something that is exactly the same, just put out as the spiritual community, yet it is showing the same type of behavior as where we were coming from, you know
Yeah. I mean, there's so many good points that you're saying. Like, my mind is just all over the place, but I think it boggles down to um, trying to put ourselves in a situation, whether it's our child, our family, friends, whomever, a stranger, and recognize that everybody's having their own experience. And depending on the density of consciousness, their fragmentation, their trauma, even the moment where they are resonating in that particular day, uh, all of our experiences are based on our perception in any given moment. So you and I can go to the same conference, for example, as we've spoken about many times,
Mhm.
honoring Nikki today. Is We're just
Yes.
honoring you.
Yes.
Um, you know, I'm going to have a different experience and you're going to have a different experience because it's based on our perception from our viewpoint, our vantage point. And we have to accept as humans, humankind, that there is no right or wrong. It just is. It's just experiences, and we have to honor that the experience that I have or the way I take it is different. And I'm speaking really as a parent right now, because you mentioned your daughter. And sometimes I get into arguments with my daughter because she's very strong-willed. She's different than my boys, and she will sit there and argue with me, and I'll say something, and then she'll say, "But mom, you're not respecting my viewpoint is different. You're looking at it from your point of view, but what about my point of view?" And it's like I need that constant reminder of, oh yeah, you're right. Like, I'm thinking about it from my perspective of a 45-year-old woman. You're a 12-year-old girl, and we have to meet somewhere in the middle, because, do you know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? So I think for us to honor and really truly unify as a collective, we have to recognize that everybody's having their own experience, and we have to, instead of uh, comparing and contrasting and deciding who's right, who's wrong, just agreeing that it's an experience for all, and it's an intimate experience that we should just honor each other and just say, wow, tell me what this was like for you. This is what it was like for me, instead of I'm right, you're wrong. I think that's one really beautiful way we can honor each other as a collective, as opposed to this division tactic of right versus wrong, good versus evil, and just look at it as, what was this experience like for you? What lessons have you learned? What could you have done better? I certainly think I could have done this better, or I think that I did this right, but what do you think? And I think if we looked at each other a little bit more through that lens of kindness, we would be a lot further along than we are today. And I think that maybe our children are here to teach us that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. um my daughter is the embodiment of kindness. She always reminds me that it's okay to, sometimes not be there for everything, and that's part of it. That's part of it, that because then it will lead to something bigger. So
Right.
um when I was listening to you sharing all these pearls of wisdom, I'm like, okay, so we have what we have been defining as the survival instinct, and the time, the right time. Then if we take into consideration other type of civilizations, even non-earthly civilizations, how they, what we think or feel or intuitively connect with, how they deliver their own reality, and how, again, these native tribes do all over the world, that
Mhm.
hold the shrines of all this magical great spirit. So it's like, on one hand, you have the capability of just not going ahead of time. If ahead of time comes to you, you receive it. But you don't need to go ahead. You don't need to go and do predictions. You don't need to go. You just listen. You are just present. You receive
Yeah.
what you need to receive and honor it and make it so special that then it's going to be super powerful, because you are the one making the message special. The message doesn't make you special. You make it when you embody it, when you truly comprehend what it is about. Otherwise, it's just blah, blah, blah,
Yes.
And on the other hand, when I think about all of these galactics and, with all this doing here and going there into galaxy and putting together all these council and so many things to do, which is kind of what we are doing right now, like putting all of these pieces together. We have something that is unique, and that is our heart. Because the level of loving that we haven't tapped into it yet.
Yeah.
And when we do, oh my, that is going to avalanche through the whole galaxy and beyond, because then we will know who we truly are. And for that to happen, I feel that surrendering to our divine power is one of the keys, because our divine power involves not being afraid. Our divine power involves not needing to defend ourselves. Our divine power involves occupying our place wherever it is. Our divine power involves presence, again, grounding, and so forth. So, yeah, what do you think about that? What would
Well,
you say? Yeah,
I wanted to comment on someone's
sure.
comment because they said the world is the way it is because most people don't care enough to change it through their actions, despite saying they want things to be different. I think that that is a very powerful statement. So thank you
Where
for
is it?
writing.
Sid?
It's the third one for me. It's the third one up
Okay,
the
okay.
bottom. And the reason I want to speak about that is because you're right, and I think that is because there's so much fear. So people want change. They say they want things to be different. They say they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And a lot of that has to do with programming. A lot of that has to do with fear. And a lot of that has to do with I feel like I want something different, but the unknown is so scary to me that it's just easier to just be on uh what's that word? Autopilot and
Mm-hmm.
just keep it going because at least I know that at least it's somehow it's safety for me. And the unknown of going outside and trying something new is very scary for a lot of people. And so I think that there's the resistance there. And then if they don't have the support of their family around them, could be their spouse, could be their children, could be their grandparents, could be anybody. If they're the lone rangers wanting change and not doing it, perhaps they don't feel like they have the support to do it. And that's why these YouTube videos and these small communities that are of integrity and authenticity are so great, because then it helps hopefully to inspire those people to be part of the change. That's what I say all the time. I really do embody what I say. I'm not one of those frauds. I live my life the way you see me professing my life through these videos, and I do these things. I am part of the change. I'm out there every day, doing videos, uh, creating education systems for children, advocating for them, going into business meetings, being part of the Chamber of Commerce, advocating, doing everything I can possibly do to be part of the change. But it's taken me a long time to get there, because for a long time I was afraid. And I said I wanted all these things, but then I didn't do anything about it. I was waiting for everyone else to do it. And then finally one day I stepped up and I looked at my daughter in the face and I said, I'm going to do this for you. Not because my sons didn't matter, but because I made a promise to my daughter before she was born that I was going to be part of the change and I was going to help her. So that was my motivation. So some people need an anchor point, a focal point, a motivational factor, some sort of catalyst, so that they can feel confident in changing, right? So I'm hoping that this makes sense, and I'm making sense to this comment, because I think that that's why people, they do care. They just don't know what to do. They don't know what action to take. They don't know what the first step is because they're afraid.
Hmm. Well, fear is, yeah, you made a lot of sense. And I feel fear is the biggest poison, actually, is the core from where all type of um, slow frequency actions come from, because it's the fear to death, fear to the limit. And actually, we are limitless. Yes, we are contained, yet we're also limitless. We're capable to go beyond those boundaries. And I agree. I've been talking about this for a while, actually, ever since May. You know, when I was in May in Sedona, I received this huge message, and when with all the explosions, the eruptions of the volcanoes in Hawaii and so forth, I was like, we need to restore our sacred fire by means of this, our passion. If there is no passion, there is no inspiration.
Yes.
And the thing is that sometimes we think that perhaps it would be too easy, like, okay, I will just find something that I like. Yes, that's one way. Sometimes the passion has been, let's say, leaked in different manners, and you're not even aware of it. Perhaps sometimes in a blocked memory that you have, and as much as you do, you're trying to regain that passion, and you are very positive that you want to leave and that you want, but some that spark doesn't happen. And it's very much one of the things that could be related is due to blocked memories, because this is why it's so important to, I was talking about this in another show, the importance of saying, and Nikki Anna Jones was mentioning this, importance of not saying, I don't remember. No, it's removing that and saying, I remember. Even if you don't fully remember, it's a different way of acknowledging something that you're not doing yet, because it doesn't come from the ego. It doesn't come from teeth to the outside. Well, there is a saying in Spanish that says, hablar de dientes para afuera, which is, like just from your teeth to the, yeah. So no, it's just about just being very humble and saying, okay, I choose to remember, so I remember. So it's a type of programming, let's say, which is very much different than saying things that you don't actually do because you are in fear of being judged, of being condemned, of being casted out, because perhaps you went through something like that. Because also, let's remember that, well, this is how I see it. No one is originally bad or evil. What's evil in the first place? We're just beings that are at some point coping with what was given to us and doing the best that we can. And we all have gone through very difficult experiences. That doesn't justify that we become the very same actions that we once were wounded by. Yet that can happen. And if that happens, I feel that also judging one another is just amplifying the frequency of
Yeah.
of that event or that reality. Yes, we admit what we see. That's one thing. Judging is actually what is creating the problem within these communities. One of the things that Crotalo Sesamo from Damanur, who is a community that has been functionally alive for more than 52 years, he always says that one of the keys that he has found about, like, to have a healthy community is that your problem is not your problem. Your problem is our problem. So then we solve it together. And I don't think that he's coming from a side of the codependency. It's just more of a matter that we are together and we are supporting you. So perhaps you will take the lead, you will do this, make the steps, yet we will always be there for you in a non-judgmental way. So then you feel free, you don't feel condemned, you don't feel, so I think that's also critical
Yes.
to, yeah, to make a safe environment and truly expressing ourselves as who we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's all about who you surround yourself with is so important. Like, that's what I'm trying to teach my son right now, who's an adult now. He's 21. And I always remind him, whether it's a girlfriend or a roommate or a friend or a new friend or a work friend, I always ask him, ask yourself, if you're going to continue this relationship or friendship, does this person help me to become a better version of myself? Are they a positive influence in my life? And if the answer is no, consistently, maybe once in a while the answer is no, that's fine. You can't always be the positive influence,
Exactly.
but for a majority of the time, if the answer is no, I said, Jordan, you need to reevaluate who you're hanging out with, who you're allowing into your life. But it also goes both ways. I said, are you helping that person, that girl, that girlfriend, that friend become a better version of them? And if the answer is no, then you guys are just not in resonance. No one is at fault most of the time. I mean, we do bad things and there are exceptions, but the idea is that it's a two-way street. So find who you surround yourself with really matters. And that's what I've been talking about a lot recently on my channels, is finding your tribe is so important. Who you surround yourself with, who you listen to, even on YouTube, who you spend your time with, who you allow into your life matters so much. Because if they're not helping you to become the better version of yourself, if they're not helping you to motivate, to be better, to become better, to do better, to follow your passions, then you have to reevaluate. Is this person worthy of my time? And I don't mean that in a bad way. I don't mean that from ego, but we should honor ourselves enough to be like, are they worthy of my time and energy?
Absolutely.
Just as am I worthy of their time and energy? And I don't think that we're teaching our children that enough, so adults aren't thinking that way. So it's important that all the adults out there are doing the same thing, because I am very extremely particular about who I let into my life and who my real friends are. Who is allowed to come into this house? Who do I let into my life, like fully let into my life? Is very limited capacity, as it should be, because we have to like honor our sacred space, and who we surround ourselves with really matters. So I think it's really, that is really important to talk about as well.
Yes. And that's one of the keys, the other keys that my friend Crotalo talks about, which is these are the pillars of the foundation of what we have as a family, as a community, as whatever. If you are not fitting into those pillars, you cannot be here,
Hmm.
because coherence is critical. And now you're not talking only about your space, you're talking about the space of the ones that you love. So I agree. It's not about ego, because you're making yourself a favor and you're making the other one a favor, you know, because sometimes we confuse compassion with victimization,
Hmm.
and empathy with pity. Those are super different. And actually, love, that tapping into that level of love that we were talking about, for me is one of those aspects. It's not the romantic love that was and that has been put to us and sold to us as this for February 14th, the Valentine's
I
Day.
know.
It's way different. It's way different. It's a selfless love, and yet also love very much abundant in self-respect, and therefore respect to the other. You know, it's very interesting how all these codependencies were anchored in the in the interaction between societies. It's very much held again by the fear, by fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is the biggest key to transcend fear?
Surrendering. I really do. That's my biggest thing is neutralizing the emotions, looking at everything from a bird's eye perspective. Like uh, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Expand your lens out. Look at it from a much higher bird's eye view, so your perspective changes. Things appear differently because when we're so close to it, it's really hard for us to we dissect it, and it's like we're looking at things from a magnifying glass, and it's too close, and we're not seeing the bigger picture. And so I always coach people, and I do this myself. So I'm talking for myself as well. I try to neutralize the emotion, expand from a macro perspective, shift the perspective, and you'll notice that the fear kind of dissolves as you shift your perspective. So it's not really as scary as it looks up close when you look at it from far away. It's like watching us. Okay, a perfect example of that is when you're well, I don't watch scary movies, but when you watch a scary movie, if you've ever watched it with the volume off,
Oh
it's
yeah.
not scary at all. What's
Yeah.
scary is the music, right? There's like crazy music and like like the
Yep.
jump factor. So if you take the music, the noise, the emotions out of your life and be more neutral and watch it with the volume off, then the fear just dissolves. This is obviously a metaphor of I'm trying
Look,
to use
I
a
love it.
metaphor, but hopefully people are getting it. And then the fear really it becomes comical, and then you can really like even laugh about it. And then you switch your fear to gratitude and be like, I'm so grateful, instead of focusing on all the negative. So grateful that I have these three beautiful children. I'm so grateful they're healthy. So grateful for this roof over my head. So grateful that my car is running uh, efficiently and effectively, and it's getting me to point A to point B. I'm so grateful that I have this computer right now so that I can interface with YssaH and have this live interview. I'm so grateful I have internet in order to do that. Like, we have so much to be grateful for, but we're taught to be so nitpicky about what we don't have. So, anyways, long story short, bird's eye view, neutralize the perspective, so that we don't get so boggled down, and then the fear just kind of seems so minuscule at that vantage point. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, it does. And I love the analogy. I truly do. Yeah, this is one of the things that I love about you the most, like the way that you give this beautiful examples that are easy to identify, and yet very powerful. Again, simple and powerful, what we were saying. So, um, you know, now that you are talking about that, the perception, for me, that is key point in everything. Like, for instance, now that I was in Sedona, you know that how the reality has different ways to communicate with you. And a lot of my friends there were telling me, yeah, like if you see the mountain from the north, you will see a shape. If you see it from the south, you will see another complete shape. And so for the east and the west. And I'm like, it's impressive, like how we even see how some you can play with visuals. And when you create them in a very specific angles, they are giving, like, it's like you are seeing something moving and it's not moving, it's steady. And that's crazy in a way that you see, like, wow, this is a hologram. So then, yeah, well, and by means of this, I'm not saying that this doesn't exist. It's a little bit more complex and yet simple. It's just the fact that one of the perceptions from which we can see reality, when we see it as a hologram, for me, it's very easy to see how things can be created and manifested and shift. And you take the weight of information because it's just a matter of moving it. It's just
Hmm.
a matter of moving it. And then you will connect with that from a whole different level. It's like, for instance, even when people say about Saturn, that it's super bad, I say, well, if you connect with Saturn from a third dimensional form of perception, sure, or even
Yeah.
fourth. But if you connect with Saturn from a ninth dimensional form of perception, you will be connecting with another Saturn. It's the same like with people. If you connect with someone that it's just asleep, it will be a way different experience than if you connect with that person when it's more awake, you
Yes.
know? So it's that form of perception for me, again, it's like the key how you crack reality open, and then you truly breathe and say, how, like, we are truly powerful. We just
Yeah.
need to shift the perception, the angle in which we are seeing something. And perhaps someone will come and tell me, yeah, do you want to tell that to someone that has been raped? And then I would say, yes, because with the authority of someone that has gone through that, I can tell you that it's all through perception. Because then again, as you said, you're looking at the full picture. You're, and this is a gift for you, not for anyone else, a gift for yourself, because then the way that you pack up all the information that had been haunting you, now you become free from it just
Yeah.
through your perception. And again, it's depending the angle from where you see it. And sometimes that can be so powerful that a lot of people, if they don't step into that, could be because they are afraid of embodying so much power, because then you become responsible for your actions. And I'm saying this as someone who every day is trying to do her best to be, to continue in that place or to be in that place. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you said it absolutely beautiful. I mean, we truly are the architects of our own reality. So we call in and we create what it is that we want and the experiences that we want. And if we are in victim mode, or we don't want to take responsibility, or we have fear of stepping into our power because we don't know what that looks like, or what the capabilities are going to look like, or what that means for us, or maybe we're afraid to show everybody else what we could do, because that was my biggest fear. I went through a long period of hiding my abilities because I was the only one in my circle, my community, that could do it. And I was afraid, at least that I knew of. Maybe they were hiding it too. And I didn't want to be looked at as the crazy witch lady, and I was a mom, and I didn't want the other moms to be like, not wanting my kids to play with their kids because I was the crazy witchy lady. And so I hid it for such a long time out of fear. But then once I embraced it and embodied it, and I looked at it as a gift, it came stronger and I became more confident. And then guess what? I attracted so many parents that were like, oh my God, that's so cool. And tell me more. And then I was like, wow, look what happens when you shift your mindset to this is a powerful, good thing. So I think that that's a good example of ways that we can co-create and be the architects of our reality, because I myself am a victim of sexual abuse as a 5-year-old child. Could I look at that as through the lens of anger? Yes, because I did that for a long time. I was the victim. I was pissed. How could my mom not know that was happening to me? How could the world let this happen to me? How could God let this happen to me? How could this dirty old man do that to an innocent child? I went through that all those stages of anger, grief, betrayal, distrust, all of it. But then when I grew up and I matured and my heart opened from my son, he was the one that opened up my heart, then my perception changed, and I looked at that from a different angle, a different lens, from a different time period. And in hindsight, I looked back and I was like, interesting. I think that happened to me, although it was traumatic and awful and I wouldn't want to go through it again. It really molded me into the person that I am today. And now I'm helping other people go through who've gone through the same thing or went through the same thing. And now I am sitting in a position of, now I'm powerful. So you, meaning that person who did that to me, I will not let you take the power, keep my power. I took it back. Now I own the power. I patented the power, and I use the power to help others. So you are exactly right about that statement of any trauma, whatever that looks like for anybody. At some point when you're ready to heal from it and you look at it from a different perception, now you're like, how can I fuel that fire within me to guide and help others and to be of service? And I wish more and more people could get there, to be able to activate and then be a guide and a mentor for other people.
Yeah. Well, we're experiential beings. So some experiences we don't need to go through. Some experiences we do. The ones that we do, the fact that we share the wisdom that we have gained from that, by doing the shadow work. Otherwise, it's just spreading, like the virus, like anger and so forth, which is also part of it. For me, it was a little bit different because I went through blocking the memory, you know. But again, when there was that remembrance, um, I was in a stage that I already had walked, like a fair amount of path. And we could go through like really deep things on this, because, for instance, when you're talking about sexual abuse, you're also talking about a part where there is um, there is pleasure, and there is the other part, which is not pleasure at all. So I just want to honor everyone that has gone through those experiences, because we know that the sexual energy, the creative force, is the most powerful one. because we are creating miracles of life and everything that involves that.
Yep.
So, for everyone that has gone through those experiences, I just want to honor you because, as powerful as that energy involved is, also the integration of an abuse. So, when you get to that stage, as what Sherry was sharing, expressing, and myself, were you, in my case, something that helped me a lot was feeling compassion for that person, because if you go through research, you will see that 90% of the people that perpetuate abuse to others were abused themselves.
Yep.
So it was an abused child as well.
Exactly. Yep.
So it's just about the code that you experience and how you're going to use it to help others, one way. And also, sometimes it activates big powers within you, because also big traumas activate sometimes big gifts,
Mm-hmm.
So, and yeah, like, I just want to honor everyone that goes through difficult experiences or that are going through difficult experiences, because this reality is for hardcore beings. uh,
Yes.
so if you're watching this, I'm pretty sure that you're a hardcore being.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not for the faint of heart. Let's just say that. But I think that this might be a good point to wrap up. I think we went in a lot of different directions, but ending on a positive note of like standing in your power, male or female. Let's bring back the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Both are equally important. Both have been suppressed. Both have been programmed and manipulated. So it's not just the women, but also the men. So we want to honor our divine masculine and we want to honor our divine feminine. And so we bring our power back, we forgive, we move forward, we shift our mindset, and we find our tribe. We focus on what we want to create instead of what we don't want. And we have the power to shift this reality if we just work together and from a place of compassion and sovereignty and good words, good thoughts, good deeds. That's the Zoroastrian way, and that's what I believe truly is. What are you contributing to this world matters.
Yes, yes. Take yourself seriously.
Yeah.
Take your power seriously. Beautifully said, Sherry. Thank you. And I agree. We are in a stage, at least I know that we are, and whoever feels in resonance with this, we are in that point where we choose what we are going to be embodying by focusing on that.
Yep.
Focus is critical. So, and your energy is sacred. So, where are you focusing your energy at? Wherever you focus your energy, that's what you're going to manifest and create. So, may everyone that joined us today and that will be watching this video later,
Yeah.
um,
Thank you.
find find themselves in this, in this knowledge, in these words, and bring more brightness into your reality as it has done into mine. So thank you, Sherry, and thank
Yes.
you everyone for your beautiful comments, for just your presence.
Yes. Thank you,
uh,
guys.
yes, yes,
And
some.
I'm so happy to have connected with you, Isha. And we got to do more of these, and hope to we'll cross again, paths again at another conference. And your beautiful energy and the work that you're doing, I honor you as well. And we're all playing our role. And it's just nice to honor each other, right? And so
Exactly.
thank you for having me on. Even though I'm live streaming this on my channel, you invited me on your channel. So thank you. And
Yes,
I had a really great time, and thank you guys for being participants as well, and we honor you as well. And it's just a beautiful community.
yes, yes, it is. And pretty exciting moments that we are co-creating and looking forward to see what's next. In the meantime, yes, let's do more of this, Sherri. Sending you a big hug, heart to heart.
Yes.
And thank you, everyone. Love you all. And until next time.
You.
Something that you want to announce about upcoming events, anything?
I'm done with conferences for, well, actually that's not true. I have one more coming up, but we don't have the date set up. So, one more in October, but I do have a charity event. My next Aramis charity event is October 22nd. If you're in the West Palm Beach area, it's going to be at the Hilton. I put out a save the date memo, but I'm about to start advertising very soon. So if you're in the area, October 22nd in Palm Beach County, stop by our next charity event so that we can get our school, our first learning center open. So yeah, that's coming up. So thanks for asking.
Yes, my pleasure. And yeah, let's talk about other things later on because I really want to support this however I can.
Yes,
This
thank
is
you.
so secret for me. Yes. So anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. Join us at Disclosure in Mackinac, August 31st to September the 2nd. It's going to be an amazing event. Very holy, very grounded, very beautiful people, all of us connecting. Chaco Canyon, the return of the Wisdom Keepers in by September equinox, and the Alien event, October, Las Vegas, and the upcoming trip to Egypt. We are sold out of spots. There are still two that are open. So if you're interested, just write to me and to the email that will be shown in this description below. But yeah, we'll see. In the meantime, there will be more trips coming up because the grid work is also very important. Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Sherri. Love you. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone.
for having me. Thank you.
Until next time.
Bye.
And bye.